Well, it's become an enormously fashionable way of thinking about what we know as the UK, the United Kingdom. And of course, James I coming as King of Scotland to become a Stuart rather than a Tudor, governing England, Scotland and Ireland, was the start of that. But fundamentally, the argument is that England, Scotland and Ireland, everybody forgets about Wales, tragically, have very different religious and political ecologies. Scotland has its own parliament. It has a very much more radical form of Protestantism. So people like John Knox in the 1560s and George Buchanan, who was James I's tutor, develop fully blown resistance theories. In order to defend your godly beliefs, you can resist anybody. Knox goes even further. He says you have a duty to resist and you can be armed. So you can imagine Charles I and Archbishop Laud, because religion is the most divisive of these aspects, sitting like spiders in a web in London and say, well, these Scots, they need to be sorted out. They need more glorious buildings in their churches. They need a Book of Common Prayer, one that I've happily written for them. So the British problem is of an English state trying to rule in three different, if you like, political and religious ecologies. And in the end, England tries to impose the Book of Common Prayer and it ends up in a war, which makes Charles I's position even worse because he has to raise money for troops to defend England from an invading Scottish force. In Ireland, it's slightly more complicated because Ireland had been settled by Protestant planters earlier. And the problem there was the vast majority of the indigenous population are Roman Catholic. So when Charles I falls out with radical Protestants, there is a fear amongst Protestants that he will raise an army from Ireland. So especially after 1641, when there is a rising of Catholics and a slaughter of Protestants, this creates a political anxiety about plots and conspiracy that feeds into the whole civil war. So it's trying to manage three very different. It's pretty difficult today if you think about it. And that's why, in one sense, devolution today grows out of that sort of tradition.